はい、皆さんこんにちは、ケラです。最近、日本語能力試験を受けに行きました。So, I'm gonna tell you what you can expect on JLPT test day. Okay, so I have a list here of all the notes I took about test day. So, let's get started. It's gonna be kind of long. So, if you don't know what the JLPT is, it's the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and it's an official test to gauge your Japanese skill or proficiency, Japanese language. And the Japanese way to say Japanese language proficiency test is Nihongo Noryoku Shiken. Yes. With this test, it tests language knowledge and listening skills, and there's no speaking or writing involved in this test. There's 5 levels, from level 1 to 5. 1 is the highest, 5 is the lowest. And in order to work in Japan, most companies require you to have the N2, at least N2, to work there. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have taken the test, it just means you have to have around that proficiency in order to successfully work in a Japanese company. Okay, so now for me, what I did in order to take the test this time, I signed up in April to take the N2. It was 5,500 yen, which is around $60. I received a test voucher in the mail with my test taking student number, and it had where I needed to go to take the test, so the test site and directions to get there, which station, all that stuff, what I should bring to the test, and things I should not do on test day, things like that. So some of the things it said to take, well, actually these are all the things it said to take. Make sure you take your test voucher itself, take a pencil, it can be mechanical, and a wristwatch. It cannot be digital, it cannot be a smartwatch, and an eraser, but the eraser must have the paper wrapping removed. The doors open at noon, and the test starts at 12:30. And for N2, there are 2 sections. There's a language knowledge section and a listening section. And the language knowledge section consists of grammar, vocabulary, reading, and kanji, and then the listening section is the listening section. Yes, so the language knowledge the language knowledge section is 105 minutes, and the listening section is 50 minutes, yes. And the test is multiple choice. So it'll have, at least for the N2, everything is written in Japanese, the question is written in Japanese, the reading passage or whatever is written in Japanese, and all the questions are written in Japanese, but you have to choose which is the best answer for each question that they're asking you. During the language knowledge section, you can skip to whichever section you want to take first. So when I opened the test booklet, I noticed that I think it was kanji first, kanji knowledge, but I know that reading takes me the longest to do, so I went ahead and skipped those pages and went to the reading section first, completed that, and then went back to doing the kanji and the grammar and all that stuff. So you have the option to do that if you would like. The day of the test. It was so rainy and cold in Japan. I was so surprised. So I had to go to Chiba Shoga Daigaku, which is the Chiba University of Commerce. And I've never been there before. It had 2 stations that were near the campus, but one station was closer. One was a 15-minute walk and one was a 25-minute walk. So the JR station was a 25-minute walk to the university, and the Keisei line station was 15-minute walk. So I chose to do the Keisei line. And when I arrived at the station, I noticed there were a lot of foreigners, so I thought, oh, these people are probably going to take the JLPT, and they were. So basically I just followed them, no problem finding it. I was not in the same building as everybody, but I had to make sure I found my building, find my classroom, and yeah, it was really easy, so no problems with that. Okay, so when I entered the classroom, the desks were marked with each test taker's number. So on, like I said, on your test voucher, you will have your own specific number. And in the classroom, the desks are set up like a normal classroom, and it'll have like a desk with a student's test taker's number on it. The next desk will be empty, so nobody can sit there, and the next desk will have a number for somebody to sit. So I found my number, I sat down, and I noticed that there was an empty like plastic sleeve the size of a sheet of paper. I didn't know what it was for, but I just left it there, and everyone had one. But later on, come to find out that we had to put our cell phones inside of the plastic sleeve, fold it up, and put it inside of our bags after turning off our cell phones. So I don't know why we needed a bag to do that, but just follow directions, right? That's what they said to do. So like I said, the only things that were allowed on the desk during the time of the test were a pencil, eraser, and wristwatch. Nothing else was allowed. You couldn't have like a pencil case with your pencils in it. No, nothing like that. Other personal belongings were supposed to be placed under your own seat, and not like in front of you, not on the side of you, under the seat. And if it wasn't like that, the proctor person would come around and ask you to put it under your seat. And so there were 2 proctors in my classroom, and one of them would periodically read like the classroom rules and classroom protocol as new students or new test takers were coming in. For example, he would say there's no food or drinks allowed in the classroom, you can't use your cell phone, and you can't leave the classroom past 12:30. If you do, you cannot return. You cannot come back in, and you will forfeit your test, basically, whether you finished or not. So if you were caught doing any kind of misconduct, you would be shown like a yellow card. They would like lift up a yellow card to give you a warning with whatever you were doing, maybe like trying to look at someone's test or something, or maybe mumbling to yourself or something like that. But if you did something like outright wrong, like straight up just like staring at somebody's test, or maybe like trying to talk to someone, you would be shown a red card, which means you were like completely disqualified from taking the test or forfeit the test and be asked to leave. But I didn't see anyone get either of those cards, although there was someone, the guy that was sitting like the next seat over, he was looking at my test from time to time, and he was never shown a yellow card, so I just had to make sure that I covered my answers the whole time. Anyways, so between the 2 sections, the language knowledge section and the listening section, we had a 40-minute break, which I used to go eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich outside, which was hard because it was raining. There was like a little cover over the building, but it was so like misty rain and wind, I was like getting wet as I was eating, so I hurried up and ate, and then I just went back inside the classroom. Before the test booklet and answer sheets were handed out, the other proctor walked around to check our faces to make sure they matched our test vouchers, to make sure we were the actual person taking the test. And then the answer sheets were passed out, and our names and test taking numbers were already filled in. It's like one of those fill in the bubble sheet answer ones. So those were already filled out for us, which was nice. And then the test booklet was handed out, and we were told not to open it or anything. We couldn't open it. We just had to write our name and our test taking number on it. And then we had to sit there until they said that it was okay to start the test. And that as we were taking the test, the proctors were walking around to make sure no cheating or anything like that was taking place. Anyways, okay, so here are some of my thoughts and tips about test day. The test was really hard for me. Honestly, I didn't study enough because this was my first time taking the test. I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't really put too much pressure on myself this time around. I don't think I completely failed it. I do think there's a chance that I passed, but I'm not like super confident. So if I wind up having to take it again, I will definitely study more. It's just really, it was really hard. Time-wise, I think it was a good amount of time. There's time constraints you had to finish. Like, it would have been nice to have more time, but I was able to finish. I was able to fill in all the bubbles and read all the questions, so that's good. However, I do recommend starting with the reading section, like I said, because it might take you the longest. So that's just my personal preference for you. You might want to get like the easier stuff out of the way to spend more time on the reading, but you know, that's up to you. So definitely make sure that you take a wristwatch with you, because there are clocks in the classroom, but they had like a sheet of paper covering it, so we couldn't see it or anything. So you just had to have your own watch with you. And so manage your time wisely. Like I said, make sure that you know which section to start with and which section to end with. And it might be a good idea, if you're studying at home and you have your own textbooks, to time yourself, so that way you kind of have an idea of how long each section is going to take you. So yeah, just be prepared for that. Now, one thing was so surprising to me about test day was that the people, especially in my level N2, which is the second to highest, they couldn't follow simple directions. Like, so many times the proctors would say, put all of your belongings under your seat, and people would just leave it like on the side of their chair or whatever. And then they asked us to put our cell phones inside of the plastic sleeve. People were not doing that. Really? You're taking N2 and you can't understand this? I was just shocked. Anyways, so I hope that was a little helpful for you if you take the test. So it might be different if you're taking it in America or a different country. But as far as Japan, this is what you can expect. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you very much for watching. And if you take the test next time, best of luck to you. じゃあね、見てくれてありがとうございました。頑張ってね、テスト。